one. I am Melissa Reese. I am the district's communication manager.
Shannon?
Hi, Shannon Peters, principal at Roosevelt Elementary.
Christine,
Yep.
Christine Pierre-Pavel, special education supervisor.
Elizabeth Morales, special education supervisor.
Mark Stoltz, special education supervisor.
Can you tell them what level you're from so that our parents know? Like Mark, you work with elementary.
Yes, I work with elementary. I work with elementary for all of our ASD in-district special education students.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Morales. Sorry. I work with all the middle schools, and I am also assigned to some IU buildings outside of the district, IU 21.
Hi, and it's Christine. I'm assigned to the high schools, the 3 high schools, and I believe alternative ed is another assignment for me.
I'm Dan, I'm the assistant principal at Central Elementary School.
And Dr. Brown, Mr. Mansfield was not able to join us. He got scheduled for some interviews tonight.
Okay. And I'm Dr. Brown. I currently serve as the Deputy Superintendent, Equity, Accountability, and School Improvement. So now let's hear from our parents.
My name is Anita Algarin, and this is my first time.
Welcome.
Your students are where?
I have one at Muhlenberg, one at William Allen, and I have one going to middle school, and I don't know where she's going yet.
Okay.
I'm Susan Raybuck, and I have 2 at Lehigh Parkway.
Awesome.
Daysel, did you want to jump in?
Sure. My name is Desa Ramirez. I am a parent leader with the Allentown Parent Network.
And then Miss Sonia.
Hi, my name is Miss Sonia. I'm a community leader and also a child care director.
Is that everyone, Melissa? Oh, sorry.
I think it is. If anybody else jumps in, I will let you know.
Okay, perfect. So great. Thanks everyone for spending some time with us today. After introductions, I wanted to jump right into sort of the purpose of this working group. So the purpose of this working group is to take from our broader parental group and have a small group of you all giving us guidance and feedback on information and content that we will post to our parent university website. And I do have an agenda, but as I'm driving and thinking and talking, we may move out of sequence a bit. So because this is to focus on the parent university, and I don't have to remind everyone that we don't have that much time before school opens, I think I want to jump into letting you all get a glance of the website that's currently under construction, and we can talk about, you know, get some reactions to what you see there, what you may think may be missing, or some things that we can expand upon. So Melissa, can you pull that up for us? And special ed, we're absolutely going to need your input because we want to have a specific section for our families with students with disabilities. And we want this parent university to help guide and bring our families along with as many how-tos and resources, but meaningful resources. So not just putting things there for the sake of taking up space, but putting things up that will help our families navigate success for their students. And we can get some reactions and have some conversations about what that could look like as we move forward. Are there any questions before we get started or comments before we get to the website?
Katie has joined us. Katie, did you want to do a quick introduction?
Hi, everybody. Katie Gill, Director of ESOL and World Languages. Oh, I'm not muted. Good. Thought I was muted for a while. I'm principal of the 2 newcomer academies.
Great. All right, so I've just shared my screen with everybody. Like Dr. Brown said, this is still under construction, so we're actually going to replace this Lehigh Valley Learns with a nice Parent University logo. But for right now, you get to it by clicking our opening of schools. Did that change? Just so I know.
Yes.
Okay, good. And then Parent University is living under it for right now. We're working on pulling it out. The website company, as Dr. Brown said, they're also making some edits in addition to what my capabilities are. So you'll see these quick links are new as of this morning. And Dr. Brown, it looks like they did get to do the side navigation. It's a little more spread out now.
Hold on a second, because we wanna get feedback while we're walking through.
Yeah.
Can you all, and you might be able to see hands, how many of you parents and community folks that have joined us go to the website often? If you could raise your hand.
I don't think I can see when I'm sharing my screen though. Oh no.
It looks like we have 2 that raised hands, Anita and Susan were the ones that I had seen.
Okay. And since it's only 2, if I can ask, how do you usually get to the website? Do you go there directly, or do you go from a link that's been shared out with you all? And you can just speak freely.
I go directly.
Okay.
Yeah, I have the app on my phone that I use a lot.
You have the app on your phone, you said?
Yeah, I use the app on my phone.
Okay, good to hear.
Yeah, I raise my hand. I often go to the website.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just a little input from us. We just copy links and we paste them on our social media. So, or through our emails with parents, so they can just click the link and they will be transferred to your website.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Melissa, if you could walk us through the layout and design of this page, if you could, please.
Sure. So we started with this top row with, some of the broad information that really we need everybody to get. Confirming the virtual campus enrollment, that should say registration. Get them to change that. Meal pickup locations, because we know that we're going to be serving meals in some capacity once we start school. IT help desk, we know that was a big one in the spring. If you click this button, it will connect you, it'll open up an email so that you can directly email our IT team. I wish you could.
Can we see it? Can you click on it and do it?
That didn't work. Okay, under construction. And then more questions, let's talk. That's something that communications and the Family and Community Engagement Office manage. It's really easy to get a hold of us that way. It comes directly to our inbox. And those questions can be any topic, and we field them to the correct department or school building. And then how-to videos. I'm actually going to click this link because I know that this one's not broken.
Well, can we make a note for that IT help desk? Because that wasn't working the last time I checked it either.
I think I need to go in and check all of these, Dr. Brown, just because of the work that the company was doing on it earlier today. I have a feeling none of them are linked. And by earlier today, I mean less than an hour ago. So I'll make sure that those are all linked to the correct pages. So this how-tos video, though, we're working on developing some very basic videos. These have come from Community Services for Children, knowing that some of our parents have, the very limited technological capabilities, which is, when you're teaching a digital native or helping a digital native, which some of our kids are amazing with computers, but mom and dad might not know the ins and the outs. The other one that they're developing right now, I believe, is how to get into Google Classroom. We know that was a little challenging for families. The kids know their student IDs because they use it every day. Mom and dad might not know that information. So getting them information on how they can find that. And then these videos, I don't know if you guys can see it playing.
Hello everyone, this is Jose Paez from Community Services for Children. In this video, I'm going to show how to access the internet once you've logged onto your computer. So if you're on a Windows-based device, you'll see over here this little icon. This shows that I am connected to the internet. If you're not connected, it would be a computer icon. With
Melissa, it's going through and saying we can hear it, but it's not changing on his screen.
Okay. I'm just going to skip ahead briefly because, as you can see, Jose's beautiful motivational quote background. About halfway through the video, it switches, and someone from CSC does the same video in Spanish. So it's combined in one video. You don't have to go two separate places to watch. And then how to connect to Wi-Fi might be your home Wi-Fi. It might be your ASD issue hotspot. It might be Wi-Fi in a Dunkin' or McDonald's down the street. You know, wherever you go, we want families to be able to access the internet.
Melissa, the only suggestion I would make is like we do with our school messenger messages, maybe at the very beginning,
say that.
Have a comment saying this message will be repeated in Spanish.
Okay, I can get that info to them. Yeah.
Or even include it on the website, like include it right there where it says how to connect your device to Wi-Fi. Include in there will also be read in Spanish. Since the video's already been created and it didn't say that yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Do any of the parents think that there should be any additional videos on there, thinking about kind of what March was and
any other topics?
You want me to jump in, Melissa?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, East Hall Department is working on a how-to demo video for, well, we already have one for Accelerate, but we're updating a little bit. We had one for Odyssey where it's now going to become an Accelerate how-to video. It has a PowerPoint. It's very, what's the word that they now use? Animated text. Thank you. Animated text. Which will make it, you know, very simple. They're short, to the point, help the parents. We're doing the same thing with one on how to use Clever, how to connect to Clever, and how to, when you're on Clever, this is what you need to do to connect to Dreambox. This is what you need to do to connect to Lexia Core 5 or Lexia Power Up.
Katie, would it be possible as we're making those videos to make sure that we reference the parent university?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And I could, because I'll build, when I build out the elementary, middle school, and high school pages, one of the things we know needs to go on there is the login info. So an Edgenuity logo, an Accelerate logo, and then click here to log in. I think what was happening in the spring was everyone was going through this digital learning page, and a lot of the resources, the FAQs didn't get read because parents were clicking digital learning and just logging in like they used to in the classroom, and all those resources. We had manuals. Now, you know, this is a much better organizational system than what we had in the spring. But a lot of that info was getting missed because they were just jumping straight to the login. So I want to make sure we point them to Parent University as much as possible.
And let me clarify, Melissa, we are producing these for the Parent University.
Yes. Yeah. But when you show where to actually log in on the computer. So that kind of information, oh man, these are not clicking. We'll eventually link over to the elementary pages. Everything is loading. Sorry, I'm flipping back and forth really quick here. Load, so I don't accidentally click anything. Elementary. So here, you know, we have this page is currently under construction. The login information is something that'll live on this page. We'll have a tab for schedules, any information about Accelerate, the programs that they're using. Will go on the elementary page. And then same thing for something like special education, English learners, LCTI, LTRI-C, the how-tos, and then the communication tab. We want to archive all of the school messengers that we send, as well as reminding parents to update their contact information at the building, and then any presentations that'll be at board meetings. So this presentation is from the most recent board meeting last week. And then everything else is archived. These are collapsible. So as I start to stack up communication pieces, you can open and close them. And then the most recent one will always be up top.
Melissa, is it possible to also put a parent university link on each of the school web pages? That way, in case parents are going there first, they can see that link.
Once I just hopped back to the homepage. So like I said, we're going to replace this middle square here. Please don't accidentally click. We're going to replace this middle square right here. I think right now what's living on your websites is opening of schools. And I think it would make a lot more sense to make that say parent university, virtual campus. Absolutely.
I have a question. My question, or is more like a concern. My daughter's in high school, and when she was doing her virtual work, I really couldn't keep up with it because I didn't have access to teachers that were giving her the work. Like she would just tell me, well, as long as I finish this one by 1 week, I'm fine. So I really didn't know how to help her stay on track and complete her work.
I mean, I can answer that just from, the elementary perspective, and knowing that Accelerate is, Edgenuity is kind of that parent company, and then Accelerate is below that. But there's also a way that your daughter should be able to, and hopefully the teacher will help them navigate, where they can see a list of their assignments and when they're due, or if it's kind of more open to where they have a week to complete it, or if it has a specific due date. I know for the elementary version of it, parents can actually log in with their child and they'll see, within the math lesson, this has to be completed, within these 2 days, or, you need to complete X, Y, and Z before you can move on to the next thing.
Yeah, those were easier for me, but hers, it was kind of hard to motivate her to do her work. So she would just tell me, well, I just use 1 week for English. And then 1 week she would do geometry or whatever. And I'd be like, no, I think you're supposed to do like an assignment per day per subject. And she'd just be like, no. And I was like, I had no contact with the teachers to figure it out. Like, so I can manage it to where I'm actually keeping her where she belongs. I felt like I was failing her. Like she would do work, but I feel like yeah.
I could add to that, and we showed a secondary schedule yet, but what I want to tell you is we were very aware of that disconnect between like our parents trying to help our students and then our parents not really having a direct connection to our teachers. So for secondary, we're absolutely looking to build in some supports for families ahead of time, like having some sessions on how do you support your student and how does your student begin to develop more of that structure and self-direction on their own, particularly at the secondary level. So our next working group, I'll make sure that we have someone from secondary that can speak to some of those new supports that will be features of our virtual campus that we weren't able to put in place for that that long-term closure plan, which was kind of like our best emergency plan, if you will.
Yeah, I had a great time doing the one with my kindergartner and my 5th grader. Like it was very easy to work with them and just get it done. And I had good contact through the class dojo with the teachers, and I think they were great. It was just the high school aspect that was harder for me to try to get her to stay on track.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I had a high schooler in 11th grade. I didn't know what he was doing. And now 12th grade, I don't know what we're supposed to be doing either. But he's ready. He got new clothes. He's not going anywhere. But he made sure he got some new clothes to wear.
Yeah, they got backpacks and everything. I'm like, you're not even going anywhere. We didn't need you.
Exactly.
Anita, one of the communication tools that is frequently used in the high schools is called the Remind app. It's somewhat similar to Class Dojo. And, as long as you provide the teacher with your email and or your cell phone number, they can communicate with you through the Remind app. And that has a translation function in it too. Parents can choose their language of choice.
Yeah, I would hope that, because I had the Remind app when she went to Deer Up, and I only had 2 teachers that were logged in with it. So I'd only get anything from 2 teachers. Not all the teachers used it, so it was harder for me when she was at Deer Up too.
And in the, as Dr. Brown said, there's going to be more training to help parents, but in the Edgenuity platform, there are a couple things that will be helpful to parents. One is a resource tab, a virtual resource tab. It's called the Virtual School Resource Center, where you can get a lot of information. And also, the teachers have the ability to send emails to parents to update them on, you know, for example, in Mrs. So-and-so's geometry class, they're assigned tasks A, B, and C for the week of September 8th through blah, blah, blah. And you can communicate back and forth with the teacher in that section of the Edgenuity platform. If you have questions like, did my child complete this task, or is there anything due next week? So
Yeah.
there will be more information coming on that, but I just wanted you to be aware that that is available.
Yeah, that would be great.
If I can just jump in also on that, I've had parents feedback on the structure. I think a lot of our parents are in need of those skills of structuring a school date at home, and the expectations for both parents and children, some sort of like guide how to structure the school day at home, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's stuff that we're talking about adding to this parent university. Anything that would help them. What are those conditions, we call them, in our other presentations that we need to be cognizant of? So the routine, does your kid have space set aside to study? What's the lighting like? Make sure that they're going to have breaks, and we have breaks built in. And again, I don't know if you guys looked at the schedule yet, but everything that we can think of, and we need you guys also to give us guidance as well. We want to have this parent university so our families can really look to this as a meaningful resource.
I was going to say, Dr. Brown, do you want to segue into looking at schedules right now, the drafts? I have the elementary and the secondary, so if you just let me know which we want to start with, I can share both.
Yeah. We'll start with elementary and we'll hand it right over to Shannon. She can talk about, we have a group of principals working very hard at the elementary level, just trying to anticipate each and every need at both the student and family pieces. And what we have here is their current work that we're processing and vetting through all levels for what an elementary day would look like for some of our students. So Shannon, you want to go ahead? Sorry.
Yes, absolutely. So one thing that we were talking about within our task force was thinking about what schedules would look like for elementary students. One that would be a parent and student friendly version of the schedule, but also to kind of give you a breakdown as well, just so that you have an idea of what those timeframes should be for each content area that the students would be doing. So this is a draft that we had created amongst our group, and really what we were looking at and things that we had to consider is that if you're in school, students are in school for 6.5 hours a day, elementary. However, if we're moving to virtual learning, knowing that they can't possibly be on a computer for 6.5 hours at a time. So that was something that we really had to consider and think about how we can still provide them with the instruction that they need. And also providing them with different breaks that they can have, that time where they're not sitting in front of the screen, but they're still doing something that goes along with learning. So you'll notice, and I'm not going to go through this entire thing, but starting in the morning, that's kind of the setting the stage. So we're proposing that all elementary students would start with a Zoom meeting in the morning where the teacher will tell them what the day is going to look like. If there's any specific, assignments that need to be completed, if they're going to be a part of a small group later and where they're going to be clicking. So really to help navigate what that day is going to be looking like. So that's what we're kind of expecting of teachers every single day to kind of set that stage. But then we also are breaking up our content areas into the Accelerate, which is the core program for elementary, that they will be doing on the computer. While they do that on the computer, they're going to have assistance from the teacher. The teacher is able to, in real time, be able to see if they're having difficulty with something. There can be messaging back and forth to kind of help navigate that. The parent is also able to reach out to the teacher if there's any concerns. I know for our school at Roosevelt, we are switching over to one communication platform this year. In the past, we had some teachers that did Remind, some did Dojo, some did Class Tag. And it made it difficult when you had parents that had siblings in multiple grades where each teacher did a different platform. So we're specifically doing Dojo this year. It seemed to be the most user-friendly, it has translation built right into it. We're able to do full school messages, so really to work on that consistency. And it's very user-friendly for parents as well. And I know a couple other schools are doing something similar also. But along with that, parents will be able to reach out using the Dojo system. And then we also have, for math and ELA, we have it broken up into smaller groups, just like it would mimic the school day is what we were really looking at. So students may be on the computer for, half hour, but then they might have a Zoom session for 45 minutes, not saying that they're face-to-face with the teacher that whole time, but maybe they'll be doing a small group with the teacher reading, and then maybe they'll be, working on a journal prompt, a writing prompt that goes along with the book that they were reading. Teacher can check in, but again, they're not sitting in front of that computer for that duration of that time. So those were things that we were really taking consideration. Also building in lunchtime there, knowing that we wanted to provide a break for them to be able to move around, get some of those wiggles out. And then we also provided brain breaks throughout the day as well. So you'll notice we have 3 different brain breaks that were already built into the schedule. Again, a time where maybe they just want to go, run around the backyard for a minute, or, they want to go use the bathroom, or, listen to some music, whatever it may be, but really providing those times for, kind of a change of scenery, kind of breaking up the day a little bit, just like we would be doing in the classroom. And then students will still be having their interventions, so their small group interventions, and also specials. So we are going to still be doing the library, gym, art, and music with that as well. So again, we were really trying to mirror the at-home learning to be very similar to what it would be like when they were in school, but also taking consideration knowing that they can't just, be plopped in front of a computer for such a large amount of time. Does anybody have questions about that at all?
Great. Sharon.
If you're breaking up a little bit.
Was that me that was breaking up, or?
I think so, on my end.
Oh, I actually paused because I heard you talking and I didn't know if there was somebody that had a question. Shannon, could you speak a bit about how your working group of principals has been thinking about supplies and materials? These are our early thoughts. Nothing's been finalized yet, but just to let people know what they're thinking.
Absolutely. So we have been looking at Accelerate the Core program. It does have a list of different materials that are recommended for use that go along with the program, but also just thinking about the materials that we supply for our students at the beginning of the year anyway. Some students come with supplies and some don't, but we certainly don't want students to not have the supplies and materials that they would need for their instruction. So we have been talking about, with at-home learning, what type of supplies would they need? So again, we do have a list that came with Accelerate for each grade level. Example counters, you have those little circle counters that on one side it might be blue, the other side is going to be red. Those are things that we use in math, especially with the younger level when we're talking about counting. So different things like that, but also knowing we can't just provide those materials without explaining what they're being used for. So a lot of us, if that were to be, moving forward, we would also be working in parent workshops where we're, showing parents how they would be using those materials at home with their kids. That way, it's being used to enhance their learning. And then also thinking about the materials that go along with Accelerate and some of the other programs, but also just supplies, crayons, pencils, writing paper, construction paper when it comes to art. So really thinking about those different items that our students might not have at home, but would certainly need in order to, have an effective, at-home learning experience. So that's something that we've been talking about as a group heavily, thinking about, funding for that and where we're going to go about with ordering those items. So that's been a big topic of conversation as far as our working group, along with the schedule for students and for teachers.
Great. Any questions, comments, reactions so far?
Do you want me to stop sharing and jump over to secondary?
No, we're gonna hold secondary for a second because we don't have us. Well, let me say this. No, we'll hold secondary for a second. Special ed. Did anyone from special ed talk about scheduling for students with IEPs or what their day would look like?
We have not discussed it, but Mark, Liz, Christine, if one of you guys want to field that question.
So I'll talk about it. Hello, can everybody hear me clearly?
Yes, great.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Number one, I want to apologize because my internet, I don't know what's going on with my provider. I had a cast meeting earlier and the call dropped 3 times. So if I break apart and I have to call, go back in, that's what it is. So first and foremost, I do apologize if I've accidentally dropped you guys. So that being the case, so for currently we have not solidified it. So hopefully by tomorrow we'll have something scheduled to be vetted. But for we have 2 populations that we're working with and considered with our disability categories. So we have low incidence and high incidence. So low incidence pertains to students that are participating in a self-contained environment. Those are the students that are participating in a functional curriculum. So it's very individualized, and they will be using the online learning platform by N2Y called Unique. So these students will have mostly synchronous learning. They will have an opportunity for asynchronous because due to their cognitive ability, they do require live sessions with their teachers. It's very differentiated. And it will mirror very much like the elementary schedule. So there'll be plenty of brain breaks, time for lunch, but it will be very important for these students with significant cognitive abilities to be partnered up with their families. Lots of flexibility for our teachers for differentiation through Unique. And through this online learning platform, there will be opportunities for the students to have sessions in the afternoon, because some of our parents do work in the morning, and we're very cautious of that and considerate of that. So a lot of our asynchronous we'll have ready for Melissa to post. Unique is getting to us. Unfortunately, they did not, it was not vetted by Unique. They did create a parent video workshop for us that we're going to interpret and translate, and they're getting us a script. Unfortunately, I met with them this morning and that was not vetted by their staff. So I did not want to create a translated document or interpreted document that they themselves have not thoroughly completed. So I am waiting for that. I was promised by the end of the business day today to receive that. So once I do.
And we have some other sessions, Elizabeth. Aren't you all developing some other parental sessions?
Correct.
That we will.
Yes,
okay.
correct. So also because we have such individualization happening due to the students' disabilities. With Mr. Sickett, we are planning once weekly Q&A live sessions with a low incidence teacher, a veteran and highly skilled teacher who has been using Unique. Also a high incidence, and I didn't talk about high incidence. High incidence includes our learning support population, our emotional support population, other health impairment population. So these are students that are participating in the general education environment, teacher as well. We will also have one of the supervisors available during that live session, Q&A session that we're going to be scheduling once weekly. So if a parent is having an issue or they're having difficulty either with social emotional learning, because some of these students, unfortunately, they will have some issues in regards to being attentive or behavior problems, or their specially designed instruction needs to be adjusted, or more questions asked about the online platforming and how can we accommodate and or modify the curriculum, that can be addressed with the teacher and she can walk the parents. Also, we're providing small PD during that time. So it's a full hour block. If there's any issues that that cannot be discussed because of confidentiality.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Can I just slow you down for 1 second? Because
Sure.
you're saying a whole lot. So could we slow down? The goal of this call was to kind of talk about, you know, what goes on the parent university, but also the rationale behind including special ed folks, but so that you all could speak a little bit about the pre-work or the pre-orientation and support that we're going to provide for families. So I am loving that I'm hearing about live once a week sessions, but there was a specific ask and request that there be some sessions between now and September 8th when our students return to help our families that have students with disabilities begin to prepare to support them. So, and if you're not ready to talk about that yet, just maybe give us some of your thoughts or where you all think you're going. I understand with Unique, but just some very basics on how we're going to ramp up, because this is new territory for a lot of families, and I work in education and I'm nervous about supporting my senior virtually. So I would just wonder how, like, just have some conversations in layman's terms about the approach that you guys as supervisors, elementary, middle, and high, are going to support our families up until we launch. And then that would be another phase once we go live.
Correct. So thank you. I do have a habit of talking fast.
No
But
worries.
you're absolutely correct. Yes, we are also planning, and we'll have that solidified by the end of the business day today. We're meeting actually at 3 o'clock to discuss parent working groups, not working groups, but Q&A again for their concerns leading up to virtual learning. So I myself have gotten, and Mr. Stoltz and Ms. Perapabo have gotten a couple of parent phone calls. They're very nervous for their child, specifically if they have significant disabilities. And that way we can answer their questions, hear them out, and let them know that they're supported and we're here for them. So we're working on that, and we'll have hopefully the final draft ready to be vetted by tomorrow.
I'm sorry, Ms. Morales. So you guys are getting together with parents, is that correct?
Correct. So we're going to open a forum up and advertise it. Ms. Alyssa is going to help us out advertising these sessions for starting next week, so we can get parents live so that we can answer some of their questions and present how their programming is going to look for their children, depending if they're low incidence or high incidence.
How can we
That's awesome.
advertise that?
Is there a date?
No, that at the end of this, by 3 o'clock, Mr. Sickett, we're getting together with Mr. Sickett to discuss that. What would that look like, and get together with Miss Reese, and Miss Reese will be able to support that.
Yeah, we would
Are
like
you
to offer
asking
a
how,
link to that.
Parent Network can support that? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll share out whatever communications develops. We'll definitely route you into that. But yeah.
We also had a Q&A. I did complete the department did complete a Q&A, Melissa. I don't know where, with special education. Was that ever gone live for our parents?
I have a Q&A.
I haven't seen a special ed Q&A.
No, yeah, that's what I was just going to
sorry.
say, Dr. Brown. I have the one from the spring, but I haven't seen a new one for the fall.
I created a new one for the fall, and that's the one I shared with you with Mr. Sickett. But I can resend it again. Yeah. There was some editing that had to be completed, but it was completed and it was shared.
Okay.
So I'll just resend that.
That would be great.
Melissa, East Hall Department is also updating their Spanish-English Q&A, because over the course of the summer, we came across a few more things when working with parents during summer learning that we're adding to it. And we're, of course, adjusting it to now using Accelerate and MyPath as opposed to OdysseyWare.
Right. That would be great. Yeah, if you guys could just get me those once they're complete and finalized, that'd be great. Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
I guess this is for general ed in particular, because I see that for special education it'll be individualized a little differently. So I saw the schedule, but will the child or the students, will they have individual at their own pace work? When will we know if the child is doing independent work or if they're going to be doing Zoom lessons? Because I saw like choice 1 and choice 2 on the schedule.
So let me just jump in for a second here, and then I'll hand it over to Shannon. So as we've been saying from the beginning, we're going to have a blended instructional model that will include independent work as well as teacher-driven or teacher-led work. So all of our schedules, elementary, middle, or high, will have a combination of both. There is, in the elementary schedule, I don't know in the one that you saw, if it explicitly says synchronous or asynchronous, but I know that the request was that our folks include some details so parents will be able to see. When you see small group session, that would be an opportunity for some independent work, still monitored by a teacher. When you see some of the core, that's going to be led by our teachers. And I'm going to ask Shannon to jump in and see if we can add some more information to respond to that question as well.
Yeah, definitely. So this is the ASD draft for elementary. Knowing that schools need to be a little bit different, we can't just say that all elementary is going to have, their ELA in the morning or in the afternoon, whatever it may be. So each school is going to be taking these recommendations once it's finalized, as far as the time, the amounts of time on task for each specific area. From that, we'll still be creating our schedule just like we would be doing if we were to be in the building. But again, knowing that it's going to be virtual to start with. So to give you an idea, my first grades are going to have, similar schedules because of their specials. But within that, though, each individual student will receive a special for their classroom teacher, because even though first grade is very similar with the schedules, there may be some differences. So that schedule will be given to all students, their individual schedule. And with that, though, it will specifically say, this is a time period for Accelerate. This is when you're actually going to be doing the online core program. This is when we're going to be doing, synchronous versus the asynchronous. This is when you have the opportunity for the small group. This is when you're working independently. So that will all be provided for each individual student. That way the parent and the student is able to see when they're doing what part of the program or what part of the individualized learning. You did mention about, opportunities for material to be individualized. We do have Dreambox, which is our math individual or intervention program, and also Lexia, which is our program for reading, both of intervention as well. And all schools in elementary have access to both of those programs. So you can see right here on the one that's showing right here, this shows a Zoom for the meeting. And then we also have language arts. So from 9 to 9:25, that's actually using Accelerate. So that's actually the core program. Then when you come down here from 9:25 to 9:10, we have doing a Zoom. And during that time period, it would be considered to be the small group. So you might be logging in. I might have, 3 students that are doing a small breakout group with myself, and we're reading a guided reading book together. We're talking about, different phonics strategies. And then maybe some of the other students are actually using Lexia at that time too. So it would be very similar to how they would be in school. And I know it's difficult not being able to see the exact schedule in front of us while we talk, but we're really trying to mirror it the same way. So students will every day have the opportunity to have individualized learning through those 2 intervention programs, which are at their specific level. It's tailored to them for reading and for math. In addition to that, though, the teachers will also be meeting with students throughout the week in a smaller group setting to be able to work on those skills that we know that students might need a little bit extra, support in. Did that clarify that question for you?
Yeah, it did. And then I guess you almost answered my next question. Will all first graders have the same I guess classwork, and will all second grade or third grade? And I'm speaking from a childcare perspective for when we have to help the student and support the parent while they're at work. Some parents will be at home, but we also have parents that do have to work. So that's kind of my question.
So as far as Accelerate goes, that's our core program. So all students, we would consider that to be a tier 1. That is what all students have access to. So those that are in first grade will have access to the first grade material. It's Common Core aligned. So they're all being exposed to grade level. So if you have first grade students, they are all being exposed to Accelerate. However, being that that's the core curriculum, we know that there's students who might be below level and also students that would be above level. So that's really where that Lexia and the Dreambox come into play, because again, it tailors them to where they're specifically performing, and also those small groups too. But where there could be some communication as far as additional materials that the students might be working on, that could possibly be something that is communicated with daycares. We'd have to figure out how we would do that communication. That way specifically, but as far as the core curriculum, everyone will be exposed to grade level material.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I was just gonna stop sharing my screen and then actually just ask you what you wanted to jump into next.
So we went through schedules.
Mm-hmm.
Let's shift from some of the instructional side to some of the health and safety piece. One of the main areas of concern we found from our family survey was that our families were worried about the district adhering to health and safety protocols. And even though we're starting virtual, we won't wait until the last minute to begin to develop some of those protocols and acquire a lot of that PPE. So we're going to walk through some of the draft documents that we're developing that are going to help us at the student level work through this pandemic scenario that could emerge in any of our classrooms or buildings.
All right. So do you want me to start with the dashboard to share or key terms?
Start with key terms or dashboard. It doesn't matter, either one.
Okay. Share screen. I'm going to start. There we go. This is the state's early warning monitoring system dashboard. And if you give me just a second, I can get from the state level data down to Lehigh. There we go. Will it refresh? This does not like being shared. Ooh. Dr. Brown, it seems to just be loading, but if you wanted to speak to the dashboard while it loads.
No, we'll give it some time to load.
Okay.
It looks like it's loading, right? So again, in line with the health and safety adherence piece, PDE has mandated pretty much that all districts base their opening plans on public health indicators. And so to support that work, they developed this COVID-19 early dashboard. And if you take a look at the dashboard, you can see things like the positivity rate, and I can't read, maybe I can, I'll make it a little bigger. You can see a lot of the hospitalization information. This is to help us to define that whole idea of community spread and what the cases are looking like. In addition to this dashboard, we have weekly meetings with our healthcare partners, the County Department of Health, St. Luke's, and Lehigh Valley Health Network. And all of this information we will continue to evaluate weekly, daily sometimes, to make sure that whenever we do decide to bring our students back in, that we're doing it from an informed perspective. And so this was just an effort to share with you some of that information and where we're getting it from. Are there any questions so far? If not, we'll share our key terms. We're creating a library of terms, if you will, for our families and our internal staff, so that, again, when we come back to school, we're all kind of on the same page with what we're talking about and what these terms look like. So we'll share this with you all as draft documents. Take some time to process, and if you have some questions, Melissa, I'd like to use an inbox for our families to be able, our parents that are participating in the working group, to be able to use to respond and give any questions or comments or reactions to information that might pop up after this call. So I'll need you to guide us on how we can go about that.
I think the best, oh, Dan got kicked out. I think the best one to use, actually, no, this is still relevant. The opening of schools one, because like you said, this is going to be as we start to bring students back to the building, and that idea of opening of schools does carry through. So it's, the email address is openingofschools@allentownsd.org. Makes sense. And that's not flooded with any, you know, I don't get regular emails in there, so they'll all be very easily organized. From the key terms, did you want me to share? Let me take a look at what other documents I had listed. The guidance on schools and protocols.
Right. So these documents we're going to share with them because I want to be cognizant of time as well. Feel free to read through them. Give us some comments, ask any questions on things that aren't clear, because if it's not clear to you, chances are it won't be for you to have an opportunity to look at them. Okay. How much time do we have left? We only have about 5 more minutes, so I wanted to leave some time. And this isn't our last working group. We'll get the next meeting date out to you, but I wanted to hear from you all, and if we don't need to discuss it, just let me know. My feelings won't be hurt. And even our administrators, what are we missing from our parent university website in these early stages? What else do we need to be thinking of including?
I have an idea. So as far as the health and safety, the idea that I've formulated for the childcare facility that I'm at is to work with parents on showing their child what it looks like to keep your mask on, or to have a second mask, or to, you know, continuously wash your hands, or, you know, what it looks like, and not so much as fear, but just showing them how to be in the quote unquote new norm. So I guess ways to show the parent how to, you know, how the child could keep themselves safe. They will put on a helmet if they were riding a bike. So that's what I'm doing here at this facility, just modeling what it looks like for the child to keep themselves safe. So when they do go to the school district, they'll have an idea of how to conduct themselves. So that's the same thing, like, you know, getting a child ready for kindergarten. So school readiness, it, you know, kind of like, you know, it's kind of that, like that. That's, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, it's a big worry. A lot of parents are scared of that.
Right. It triggered another thought for me that I didn't bring up. We were hoping in this vein of work to have some willing parents volunteer to try out some of our PPE, if you will. So our masks we're waiting on a shipment of our elementary size masks. We have some of the secondary masks, but to have some of the students, and I'm thinking, I don't see your name, but you have the red shirt on. I'm looking at you. You have 3 kiddos, one at Allen, one somewhere else. You have them at all ages, I think.
Yeah, I have one that's possibly even gonna go to Head Start.
Okay, so I would love if we could get you a package of masks to just try out for comfort and see how long they can wear it and report back to this working group. I I think that would be some good qualitative information for us.
Yeah, because with my daughter, she's 6 and she's asthmatic and she's easily triggered. And the thought of her going to school not being able to deal with a mask all day, and I'm like, well, if they're going back, maybe they should have less hours, just because us as adults wearing the mask out just to go food shopping, it's hard. So I mean, yeah, that's an excellent idea.
Dr. Brown.
So I will, yeah.
And also, I just wanted to add mental health for both parents and students. That support, especially now that students will not have the easy access to a counselor, school counselor, or another emotional support at school. But also for parents, because this is a stressful situation for both parent and child, and the success for what we're doing, it's going to involve a lot of mental health support, emotional support.
For sure. And let me say that the students will continue to have access to counselors. In fact, just like we have this parent university working group, we have a social emotional working group that's convened and building out some of those supports that we can transition to virtual. So we need to add that to our parent university as well. It would be nice if you all could help us identify. We aren't in the business of providing supports to adults, but we could definitely house some resources and links within our parent university to support our parents in that regard, but absolutely with regard to our students. And I would say stay tuned, perhaps by our next meeting, we should have a representative from our social emotional working group on to share with you some of the progress and some of the opportunities our students will have to participate virtually.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Administration, anything we're missing from Parent University?
How about make it bigger and brighter in your website? You know, like an eye catcher.
That will be on the homepage. It's
okay.
Still a work in progress, yes. It's going to be there front and center, and then in that big banner up top where all those nice pictures are. We're definitely working on that.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Dr. Brown, I don't know, you had mentioned to me on the phone, I don't know if you want to wait until the next meeting, but you had said about posters out to the community with the QR code and thinking about where to place those, thinking, you know, where parents would suggest those get placed.
Yes, Shannon, thank you, thank you. We are creating total PR packaging, if you will, for our virtual campus, and not for superficial reasons, but because we're 2 weeks before school. We have close to 7,000 students that are registered, but we have another 8,000 or 9,000 that we need to register, and that's how we're determining who needs Wi-Fi access and computers. And so within those materials, we have posters that were being printed to place on our buses, but also to place at different points within the community. And on those posters, we have QR codes where we're inviting our families to scan the code and be taken directly to the parent university to register, but also begin to become familiar with that site and understanding that it's there for help. So what I wanted to hear from you all is perhaps providing us either using the chat or the inbox that Melissa has identified to let us know some places in the community where it would be a good idea to post or hang, if you will, some of those posters. We have them in English and Spanish, and yes, Katie, we will have them in Arabic soon. We're going to start with English and Spanish. Where can we get those ASAP? Because we should have some today, should we not, Melissa?
I was actually going to text you after this. They're printed and ready. I was going to go get them.
Okay, so we'll have some to share out tomorrow, or begin to position in key spots throughout the community by tomorrow. Miss Sonia, you can come get some for your child care facility tomorrow, right?
I surely can, and I just was putting that in the text. that I could come get some for me, and I'm sure that all my other in childcare industry compadres will love to do that for their parents.
Well, yes, but and we're gonna have a meeting and somehow group them together. We have about 76 child care centers that were identified in our family survey. So I want to target them separately. You can certainly come get yours and I'll give you a few, but I want to sit down and be very strategic with that group because we're going to need to have them elbow to elbow, as many of our students, as you know, will be in their care when school starts. So
Okay,
we didn't forget about them. We're just going to handle them separately so we can spend more time collaborating with them.
Okay, we have a directors roundtable meeting, and we also have a directors network meeting that I should probably just invite you to.
Yeah, why did you do that? That would be great. When's the next one?
I will look on my calendar and email it to you or text it to Melissa.
Perfect. Any place else off the top of anyone's head that we can get our posters up tomorrow?
Dr. Brown, there are places which our Hispanic community frequents a lot in Allentown, especially Center City. They also have bulletin boards. Maybe you can, I don't know if they will be willing to have those. And I don't know if you guys have thought about, I don't know, having something with like a radio station like La Mega, which is, a place where a lot of our families, they listen.
Yeah, I think we have about how many ads running or slots?
We have two spots. We have 2 spots on La Mega and on Latina on all their families of all the stations underneath their family. One is specifically for kindergarten, but the other one is for the virtual campus registration.
Yeah, so that would be a good thing if you can. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, but the 2 slots give us how many ads? That's the point of.
I'm looking for the contract.
No worries. That's okay. Never mind. Go ahead. You were saying.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh no, I was saying. Go ahead. You were
okay.
saying.
Yes, so I think that because a lot of our Hispanic community, they listen to La Mega, I think that would be an awesome place to, give an update as to what the school district is doing for our parents who don't even usually check out your website. So it will be a good reference point.
Yeah.
Dr. Brown, we have a lot of different ideas in the chat, like the different grocery stores or markets that our families frequent.
Awesome.
Family shelters, Walmart, Family Dollar, Dollar General, Salvation Army. What about at the school buildings? Can we have one posted at each school by the main entrance?
Sure, we can do that. So I think our first quantity we went small. I don't know the number, but we can definitely reorder some more posters and make sure we get them out. We really want to blanket the community this week and next week with the posters. And if anyone would like to volunteer, we'll take that too with our outreach.
We're here for you guys if you guys need us. So just let us know.
Yeah,
We'll be in touch tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Parent Network and give you your supply to get out there for us.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I was going to say swing by tomorrow and I can give you a stack.
To the admin building?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Brown and I are here.
All right.
Might get us started.
Yeah.
All right. Was there anything else, Shannon, that I missed on that additional list we made?
Don't believe so. No, that was everything.
So hopefully by the next time we convene, we'll be able to share with you some updates to the Parent University website by way of special ed, by way of our English Learner program, our ESOL program, and some other general ads that we should have convened. So hear from us by the end of the week when that next meeting will be. It'll probably be a week or two out from now, but definitely give you enough time to process and have a meaningful conversation about what we're trying to do here and bringing our families along. And please, each one tell one. Our broader parent group will continue to convene as well, so we can have those larger conversations. But here in this smaller group is where we want to keep it small so we can have intimate conversations like this to get your feedback. So thank you all for your time. Please feel free to reach out to myself or Melissa with anything at all. This only works if we all work together. So again, thank you, and we certainly appreciate your time and commitment.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.